John and Jimmy are the partners in Barber to Success Enterprise, which is known as BTSE. Their business flourished and they had been approached by the hip star Boma to expand their business to Indonesia. As they were delighted about the news, they hired a hair specialist from Paris, named Philip. However, Philip's wife, Joanne, will be furthering her study in England and Philip wishes to follow her. Jimmy was not happy, and he forced Philip to sign an agreement to prevent him from carrying any business related to barbershop services and other related hair services after Philip leaves BTSE. After that, the business expansion to Indonesia did not success due to the leaving of Philip. In England, Philip opened up a new barbershop as his wife needed money to pay tuition fees. After a year, Philip's business flourished. In February, Philip received legal notice from Jimmy's lawyer requesting for compensation as Philip breached agreement that he signed with Jimmy. Philip is very angry with the request of Jimmy and seek for advice from us.
First issue, whether the agreement signed by Philip is valid in Malaysia. Under Section 10 of the Contracts Act 1950, it was stated that all agreements are contracts if they are made by the free consent of parties competent to contract for a lawful consideration and with a lawful object. Besides, Section 14 of the Act emphasized on the meaning of free consent, which is not caused by coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, or mistake. Coercion under Section 15 of the Act has been defined as committing, or threatening to commit any act forbidden by the Penal Code with intention of causing any person to enter into an agreement. Moving back to the present case, the agreement between Jimmy and Philip was signed under the force of Jimmy. Thus, the agreement was invalid since it was made without free consent of Philip and it is a voidable agreement in Malaysia. Second issue, whether the agreement made binds Philip, who leaves the national from Paris on the ground that Philip is forced to sign such agreement. Section 11 of Contracts Act 1950 provides that every person is competent to contract who is of the age of majority according to the law, who is of sound mind and is not disqualified from contracting by any law. Section 19 subsection 1 further stated that an agreement is a contract voidable at the option of the party whose consent so caused when the consent so obtained is caused by coercion, fraud or misrepresentation. Every person in Section 11 does not prohibit the entering of a foreign national into an agreement with Malaysia. Thus, Philip has legal capacity to enter into an agreement with Jimmy although he was a foreign national, and it is on Philip's choice whether to make the agreement void. The agreement would not have binding effect towards Philip once he executed his rights to void. Third issue, whether the agreement in Malaysia is effective in England. If so, whether Philip has breached the agreement. If there is a breach, Philip will be punished according to his national law or foreign law. Illustration D. Under Section 57 of Contracts Act 1950 provides that Malaysian law does not prohibit an agreement to be taken into force in a foreign country. But such agreement under coercion having effect in England can become void if the party to whose coercion is so caused has declared it to be void. Section 57 subsection 2 also stated that when a contract is impossible to be performed due to frustrating event or not on the fault or either party, the contract will become void and the contracting parties are discharged from future obligations under the contract. Hence, even if Philip declared his intention to void the agreement, it should not consider Philip to have breached the agreement since Jimmy was the one who induced the happening of frustrating event. An agreement made in Malaysia was effective in foreign country, England. Philip did not commit any breach once he had chosen to void the agreement. Since there was no offense in conflicts of law, then choice of law was not needed in the present case. Fourth issue, whether the request of money is justified. A contract in restraint of trade means a party in the contract restricts another party's future liberty to carry on his trade or business. As regards to Section 28 of the Contracts Act 1950, restraint of trade is prohibited and the agreement would be rendered void if it is reasonable. Thus, the act of Jimmy requesting compensation from Jimmy was unjustified on the ground that particular contract clause relating to restraint of trade was found at the beginning. Fifth issue, whether there is lapse of time for Jimmy to bring the action against Philip after 1 year. According to Section 6 of the Limitation Act 1953, a person cannot bring an action founded on contract after the expiration of 6 years from the date on which the cause of action accrued. In the present case, the cause of action accrued and the time to commence a legal action began at the time Philip opened the barber shop. Therefore, Jimmy had not lapsed the time to bring an action against Philip as the action was taken 1 year after the opening of Philip's barber shop.